Hiya, Ohio Ants folks. Here is the Ohio Ants medium nest. It has a lot of the same design features as the last video, which was the Founding Plus nest right here. It looks very similar to that. There are a couple of significant changes. The first change is in the Founding nest, the slide covered both the hydration chamber as well as the ventilation chamber, and then the ventilation came out the side like that. This one, the ventilation comes out the top, and what that means is that while in this one, only about half the footprint of the slide was living area, in the medium nest, about 3/4 of each slide is living area, which means 2 times 3/4 is 1.5 slide footprint rather than 1/2 slide footprint. So that's 3 times the volume. So this is 3 times as big as the Founding nest, and the Founding nests are going to hold as many as probably at least 50 campanatas. This is a Chromoides colony. It's hard to see right there, but there are 40 workers there, and you can see there's still plenty of room. So there's going to be at least 50 campanatas comfortably in that, which means at least 150 here, and I would guess probably like 200. So, you know, a decent sized Campo colony can go in this, and certainly a very large Lasius or Tetramorium or any small ant is going to be able to get very, very big in this nest. So the one main feature difference is how the ventilation is. Otherwise, the slides are the same way. The slides slide in and out. You can take one slide and put another slide right behind it and replace it if it gets dirty without ever exposing the ants and that type of thing. The screens are the same. Here's the screen to let the hydration in, and then screens to let the heat and hydration out if need be. None of that really is any different. There are pinholes for watering here, and then on the other side, on this model, it's on both sides, like that. And as opposed to the Founding nest that had one port going out, this one has 2 ports going out, and I'll explain that in a second. And it has the same overflow slot, and that slot's function is if you overfill the sponge through the pinhole, rather than flooding into there, this slot's a little bit lower, so it'll flood out rather than flood into the nest. So all of that stuff really is the same. There is a tunnel connecting the 2 sides right there, so that goes back and forth. So it's kind of 2 sections of the nest, but it's one nest altogether. The one main feature that's different, other than the ventilation being outside, is the 2 ports. And the reason why that's set up is not only to allow modularity, but also to make it really easy to move from one nest to the other. So if you had a queen that founded here and then turned into a small colony, and you remove the plug, by the way, I recommended in the last video to use cotton for this plug. I found out cutting in a small piece of the sponge works a lot better. So it holds water more, and it's better. And then I've even cut the sponge to go all the way back, so it'll hold water for a long time. So when you check on your queen every week, you just slide this glass over, keep the queen covered right there, and you can hydrate both that sponge and this sponge, never exposing the queen. It takes about 10 seconds, and then you put her back away. But the nice thing about the 2 ports is that you can take, when the colony outgrows it, like that Chromoides colony I just showed you, you can just connect it to a larger nest like this, and then connect that to an Outworld. So the Outworld used to connect here to the small nest, and you just make them walk through the big nest to get to the Outworld, and it won't take them long. If you leave this one covered and leave the old nest uncovered like that, they will move out in no time. So that's part of the reason there are 2 ports. The other reason there are 2 ports is just for modularity. So you can add small nests or big nests or satellite nests or 2 different Outworlds or whatever you want to do. It just adds a degree of flexibility. And the really nice thing, now that the kind of base box is done both for the medium nest and for the Founding nest, is I've started to mess with the walls a little bit. As you saw in that other medium nest right there, we have offset walls like this, which prevent the light that comes through from the Outworld from penetrating all the way to the back of the nest. So you'll end up with a nest that's darker in the back with the offset walls. Bigger chambers for campanatas, and smaller chambers, or little extra dividers rather, for Lasius, Tapenoma, Tetramorium, for small species. And we've worked out the same kind of stuff for the Founding nest. This is the base model. and then some offset walls, and some big chambers, and some small chambers. Now, I know there's lots of different ways to do the walls. Now that the basic boxes are done for both of these models, I can mess with the walls as much as you want. So if you have any ideas, drop them in the comments or ping me on Discord, and I'm happy to try anything you want. The last thing I want to comment on is that the Ohio Ants large nest is done. It is being tested right now, and it looks to be good to go. I'm going to be printing out the different wall designs of it, and which is a 16-hour print. So we're going to be printing all those out this week and putting them together, and I will come out with a video next week. The large nest is basically twice this size with 4 slides, and it's going to be really good. Actually, the footprint, the living area of the next nest is the same living area as a full-size Ants Canada Omni nest. So that's the living area. This is Nearcticus in there. That's the living area of the large nest, because these nests have so much space between the chambers. This is an 8x8 inch nest, but the living space in it is like only 1/3 of the actual footprint. And that's not the case with 3D printed nests. So it's going to be a big nest, and it's going to be cheap, and it's going to be, I think, have the same hydration, ventilation, and heat gradient and efficiencies that the smaller ones do. So we will see, and I'll be back with you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.